Yo, what is up guys? This is an 82-4 gameplay on Overflow, playing a bit of regular domination. Gonna hop right into what I want to talk about because it is a bit of a doozy. It's a long one. So what I'm gonna talk about today is gun control rights or gun control laws, and I'm gonna do a bit of touching up on the Newtown shooting. I'm not gonna talk about it too much since what I am gonna be ranting about is how the media has, abused this topic over the past 2 weeks. So I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I'm just kind of I'm not even really going to go into details about it, but pretty much, yeah, what I'm going to talk about is gun control laws, because I've seen a lot of people talk about, why we should be banning these assault-type weapons. And, in fact, Woody just uploaded Feedback Friday, or whatever the hell he calls it, video, and he talked about gun control. I didn't actually watch him talk about it, but, I saw in the title that he was talking about gun control, and a lot of people were in the comments saying, why don't you just ban guns and save lives? And that was kind of the catalyst. I was thinking about doing it, but when I saw that comment, I was just like, ooh, I gotta do this commentary. So enough of the stalling out, let's do this. So a lot of people after the Newtown shooting are calling for gun control laws, and I just want to get my view out there and say that trying to control guns in the US is an absurd statement, and it is an absurd thing to try to do, and it's an absurd thing to even talk about. So pretty much, if you don't know, you can get pretty much any gun in the US. Some states have very firm restrictions on guns. I'm pretty sure California, you can't have guns at all, but most states you are allowed to have most any gun you want, as long as you fill out the proper paperwork and as long as you do federal background check and stuff like that. So you can get a lot of these guns, and most of them are very easy to get, hunting rifles and shotguns and pistols and such. And unfortunately, most of them, fortunately, most of them are used for the right purposes, fun, hunting, and stuff like that. But unfortunately, every once in a while, a few of them are used for shootings, massacres, murders, stuff like that. So the thing that I'm trying to say is that gun control laws, there's so many guns already in the US, it wouldn't make a difference. If people want to kill someone, they don't need a gun to do it. If someone really pissed me off in Call of Duty and I wanted to go to their house and teach them a lesson, I wouldn't need a gun to do it. I could do it with a knife, stuff like that. The fact is, you don't need a gun to do a massacre, and there's several good examples. I forgot the exact time, but the Oklahoma City bombing, I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, where the perpetrator Timothy McVeigh filled up a moving van with fertilizer and race car fuel, parked it in front of a building, blew it up, and killed 168 people, the second largest terrorist attack in the United States history. Did it with completely legal stuff. He didn't break any laws until he blew that shit up and killed 168 people. So that's a bit of an older example, but I think the icing on the cake is how the media kind of covered up a prime example of what I'm talking about. So just a bit of backstory. On the Friday that the Newtown shooting happened, I was in class, and this engineering class that I had at the time, I'm on the computer the whole period, because that's what we do. So oftentimes I check my email, I look at articles and stuff like that. I saw there was a article on the Newtown shooting, and I did the little air quotes there because at the time I read it, it said Newtown school is in lockdown, possible shooting. I'm like, okay, hopefully they all get out fine. And I didn't click on it again. And then after that, I scrolled a few pages down and I saw an article on how a Chinese man entered an elementary school, and it was in China, and he stabbed 22 kids. All of them ended up dying, or he may have stabbed more, but 22 people died. Pretty sure it was 22 kids. Dude ran in there with a knife and killed 22 people. I'm like, holy shit, that is fucking terrible. And then when I got off at lunch, when I went to lunch, a whole bunch of my friends saying, did you hear about the Connecticut shooting? A whole bunch of people died. I'm like, I don't think anyone died. I don't think it was an actual shooting. And they're like, oh yeah, like 26 people. And I'm like, well, okay. I guess Yahoo just didn't want to report, or I just looked at the page too early or something like that. And when I got back home, I looked on Yahoo again to look at the article, and the one about the Chinese man killing the 22 kids, totally gone. Never showed up again. And usually the Yahoo has like a popular this week tab where it shows you the popular articles. It wasn't in there. You know, they probably took it down the second they got details on the Newtown shooting, and I found that really odd how they simply just covered up the fact that someone was able to pull off an almost equally devastating massacre with nothing more than a piece of metal. So that's just, that kind of just supports my point. I think, you know, if someone really wanted to kill someone, you don't need a gun to do it. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. And I guess another thing that I want to talk about is how corrupt the media really is. And, you know, I think the media is doing just as much damage as these people who are doing the shootings. I mean, for literally a week straight, it was nothing but details on the shooting and how the perpetrator did it and how what he used and what his name was and what his story was and why he did it and stuff like that. And they're giving them all this fame, and that's why these people are doing it, because they're mentally disturbed. They want attention, or whatever the hell they're doing it for. They want attention. They feel like they need to end someone else's life to do theirs or whatever. You know, all these people are ending up killing themselves. I mean, these are not sane people here, you know, obviously. So I think the media is really doing nothing to help the actual people, but they're giving these mentally insane people to give all the reasons they need to go on a massacre. And another article that I found quite hilarious, well, not hilarious, but I found it very disturbing, was this was on Thursday, or I think Wednesday or Thursday. And if you don't know, there was a shooting in a mall in Oregon where a guy killed 2 people, and that was pretty much the main thing on the front page for a day or two. Or no, this was actually after the Newtown shooting, and there was an article on Yahoo again. You know, Yahoo is what I use, and it said most deadly shootings in the US. And this shooting literally happened 3 days before the Newtown one, and it wasn't even on the list. I'm like, Clackamas Town Center is like 30 minutes from my house. This dude shot 3 people, and you don't even have that listed on there. Like, there were several shootings that were just as bad as the Clackamas one that they put on there, and I just found it funny how they didn't want to talk about that one. And I'm pretty sure they didn't want to talk about that one because the shooter was actually stopped by a concealed carrier. You know, the concealed carrier walked up to him, had a gun, and apparently what I take from it is that the dude saw him with his pistol to his head, and he shot him in the head, or the shooter shot himself in the head. So yeah, you can think about it any way you want. I guess the fact that I'm just trying to get across is take whatever the media says with a grain of salt. They're not always right. But yeah, you guys can have your own opinions on all this stuff. If you disagree with me, leave it in the comments and explain why, and I'll be more than happy to have a conversation about it. But yeah, I hope you guys didn't mind this rant too much. If you did, though, if you did happen to like it, please leave a like. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Peace.